What
We're
up? What
back with
up?
another
What's
episode
up?
of Who Woke the Savage? And I'm your girl, Miss
You
World.
Yes,
Well,
already?
sir.
kicking it with gang as always. I'm gonna throw it to my homie over here, my hostess with the mostest.
You already know you kicking it with Lady.A.Savage.
Hi, we got a really dope episode today. It's Men's Health Awareness Month, right? So I don't know if you got the blue ribbons, but y'all need to go get them. And we got some really dope fellas out here with us today. I'm gonna introduce my bro, Level Up Core. Say what's up to the people, bro.
How y'all doing today? Happy Mental Health Awareness Month to all my fellas out there. Make sure you're taking care of your mental. That's number one, first thing.
Yes, sir. And I'm kicking it with my homie from way back, Al Parker. Let him know what's up.
What's up, everybody, man? This Al Parker, the prodigal brother. Thank y'all for having me. Mental health. Mental health is important. You feel me? But don't take the psychoactive drugs, okay? Just have conversations. You know what I mean? Let it off your chest. That's what we about to do right here.
We about to
Let's
let
do
Facts.
it
it.
off the chest. I felt that
That's
right
right.
I felt
Work it
that.
out.
here.
Work it out from here.
So, I
You know
mean,
what I
like, I
mean?
know y'all
Keep
see a
your
lot of
mental right.
conversations. Y'all see a lot of conversations that go on in the media. It's a lot of male woman battles, everybody going back and forth, and no one's really feeling heard. I feel like a lot of Black men express that there aren't a lot of safe spaces for them to talk about things that really matter to them with the freedom of not being judged by other people, especially by some of their female counterparts. And, I had to have a really heavy conversation with a guy I was talking to, and I said to him, the first thing now I ask a Black man is, who are your role models, right? Like before I get to know a guy truly, I want to know who were the men in your life that influenced you the most, whether that was in a positive or a negative way, because it tells me a little bit more about you and how you get down. So, like, fellas, like, who would y'all say were the people that influenced you growing up?
Um, the people that influenced me was definitely the men in my household, which is my uncle. I didn't really have a dad growing up, but I did have a father figure, which is my uncle, and he told me about everything, the birds and the bees. He kept me on point as far as, going to school, making sure my grades was on point. He just kept me on point as a man. He passed away a couple of years ago, about
I'm sorry
maybe
to
like
hear
when I
that.
was in my 20s. Yeah, so like after he passed away, things been a little cloudy. I don't really have that person I could go to for guidance, and I feel like if he was here, I could definitely be a little bit more guided. He could tell me, you know, um, different, perspectives and different opinions, and I definitely value his opinions and his perspective. So my uncle was a big one in my life, and my cousins, my older cousins, they also kept me on point. Just making sure I stay out of trouble, making sure I'm not in no gangs, making sure I'm doing good at school. So my cousins and my uncle, the men in my family definitely kept me on point.
And I'm just
But
curious,
yeah,
like, was that the male
What
side of
about
your
you, Al?
family? Was that your father's side or your mother's side of the family where you had that
well,
male
I
support
grew
and
up with my
influence?
mom. I grew up on my mom's side of the family. I was adopted, but that's another story. But I was adopted into my family. My family took me in or whatever the case may be. But yeah, my mom's side of the family definitely kept me on point. You know, so yeah, those are my big role models. Those are the people that I was able to look up to when I was younger. Cause like when you young, that's when it hits you the most. You gotta have those people when you're young so that they could mold you into the right direction. When you don't have those people when you're young, it kind of, you know,
It could change the
the
trajectory.
direction
Like,
kind of turns. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
so Al, like,
So
Yeah,
what
bro.
about
who
you,
were some
Al?
of
How you
those
feel about
people?
it?
Shit. The thing is, I'm proud. I'm proud of my brother. Level Up Cool right here, bro. Like you
Appreciate
seem
that.
like you had some good guidance when you was young, bro. Like I can't really say the same. You feel me? Like a lot of my people, they was into a different side of the world type shit. You feel me? So I never really had those good type role models. I had people I looked up to. You feel me? But they was people on the block doing certain things. Those are the so called tough guys. A lot of my people, my family, you know what I mean? A lot of them ain't make it ain't make it this far. You feel me? But I would say that the person I looked up to the most as a child was my grandfather, because he probably had the most money. He was a business owner. You feel me? Which is kind of that's what molded me. That's why I went to school for business, ended up doing business, got into management, got into
I
restaurants because he owned a restaurant, he owned a dry cleaners, he owned a lot of businesses around town. But it's funny though that when you grow up, as I got older, a lot of people ain't like my grandfather for real. Yo, when I go talk about him, they like, man, Frank wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just funny. It's kind of different than you. I kind of got molded by the negative side of things to these niggas ain't shit. Don't be like them. You feel what I'm saying? So
yeah
I mean that's a form of guidance too. You can learn about what not to do. You can learn about other people's mistakes. That's called wisdom in some aspects.
I'm be
that's
That's
real,
definitely
like
I
with
true.
you
mean
guys, like, one of the things that stand out from what you guys are saying, especially what you just touched base on, Al, like I didn't always grow up with this person in my life, but my exposure to this individual really set a high point for me, what I thought men are or what men should be. And it came from my
Right.
grandfather, right? Because he was this
Mm-hmm.
educated black man in the South, you know what I'm saying, who was a business
Mm-hmm.
owner, who just did things that I didn't see people do. Like, he traveled out of
Right.
the country. Like he did stuff in my family that wasn't common for me to experience. So I feel like when I compare people that I meet, I say like I want to meet an enterprising black man like my grandpa because he's one of the first people I
Real
see
shit.
All right
moving
now.
that way. So like, I grew up with my dad, but my dad was a different New York cat, you know what I'm saying? And grew up with my uncles, different New York cats. But I was like this black man from the deep south who required us to call him sir, march with a little different of an energy, like I said. And I just found it to be encouraging for me to navigate business spaces.
Yeah, sometimes
That's
the
the
people
thing.
that
facts.
move different is the ones that stand out. Like I said, I come from a place where all the men in my family, they either do drugs or sell drugs. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Oh, my grandfather, I remember he said he used to always drive a Cadillac. I used to love riding passenger in that caddy. Anyway, he sat me down one day and he was like he's 60 something years old, was like, I never smoked a cigarette, never drank a day in my life, never did a drug a day in my life. And I'm sitting here,
wow.
I'm like 14 years old. I'm like, shit, nigga, I smoked some weed yesterday. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, you made it your whole life by staying, well, you know what I mean? Like, but that's
Staying
kind of
disciplined.
inspiring. That's kind of inspiring
Mm-hmm.
that he could
Staying
stay away
disciplined.
from things like that,
Facts.
knowing his whole family is into that. You feel me? You
Yeah,
know, that was something special to me. So that's why I gravitated to what he was doing.
yeah.
When
Also
you,
too, I feel like um I feel like the men in your life also have a mission to, guide you in the right direction. But I also feel like it's up to you too. You gotta wanna go in the right direction too. There's
Most
people in
definitely.
your family that definitely, take the right side. You might want to go on the left side, which is the good direction. Some people take the right side of, nah, I mean, of life, and it depends on what direction you want to go
Yeah.
to. Me,
I
I
don't, I
wouldn't.
don't, my bad, bro. Go ahead.
Nah, you got me. I went in the direction of not wanting to let my uncle down. Not wanting to basically let my uncle be disappointed in me, because that wasn't a good feeling to me. So I kind of made the conscious decision to do good to make sure that my uncle will be proud of me. That my uncle not like, damn, Corey fucked up, or Corey did this, Corey did that. I always wanted to stay in a good light of my uncle, so that's what always gave me the motivation to
when you said
keep
See,
discipline,
pushing through.
I don't always look at things as the good or the bad side too. You got to think sometimes some people just choose the easy route. You feel what I'm saying?
All
Facts.
right now.
Nah, good
Like
point.
dog, like you like uh, like dog getting a pack, busting it down and serving it. That's so
Facts.
easy, dog.
Nah, you
You
got a
feel me?
point.
Anybody can do it. There's no barrier to entry. You feel what I'm saying?
but see, you talking
But
about
but,
easy
but getting the
situation.
education.
You talking about an easy situation that comes with hard consequences, because that's the reality of that. It
That's true.
sounds
Facts.
Real
easy in the
shit.
beginning.
Word.
But what I'm saying is,
But it
but
comes with a
that's what
lot.
I'm saying. But it's easy to get into. You feel what I'm saying?
Definitely,
Like I'm
definitely
saying,
easy.
like getting your education and staying out of
Staying out of
prison.
trouble.
That's you know how difficult that is. Going to bed early, not going to the club. You know what I mean? Not going to that party,
Not trying to
not
join a
taking that shit.
gang.
That's
You feel
hard.
me? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know,
A lot of
I
people,
gotta
it's
ask
not
y'all though.
necessarily good, bad, right,
Hey yo,
wrong. It's easy, hard.
I got a question
Y'all
too.
opened
I
the
got one
yeah.
too. I do got a
That's because
question.
I got a question because I mean y'all just said like it is easier to get caught up in some of the things that happen out in this world, like getting caught up in gang life
Easy,
could be easy, getting caught up in drugs could be easy. But one of the first places
easy.
that you were like mandated by law to be is in the school. You supposed to be in the schoolhouse
In
for
the school
2,
system.
for 3, right? And so my whole
So
thing
how?
is it's easier to find the street than it is to open up the book and teach yourself things that you may not have been able to find outside. That's sometimes what I struggle when I'm working
That
with
you had
young
to
men
go
in the
to
education system. Like you went out there to get your knowledge when the book was put in front of you. And all of the tools to decode
Yeah,
it,
regulated.
all you had to do was
yeah.
ask
But
for it.
sometimes I rather crack jokes and make everybody laugh than read that book. That's easy. I could run this class. You know, I'm just talking about how people fall into that type of direction. And because
Nah,
honestly,
it's
in my the way I grew up, I honestly got educated. I honestly gained a lot of knowledge by getting into trouble. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't go outside. Guess what I had to do? Read books. I read every goddamn book I had. I was punished so much. You feel me?
You know
So
what? You made a valid point though, because I feel like when you talk to men, especially later on in their later years, I feel like a lot of men that have hit the penitentiary, that have did different things, the way they're like, I had to go through all this to be like, now I understand it. Now I'm educated. I do this. I know about my money and my finances. A lot of times that is the struggle that a lot of men do. They had to mess up so bad to put themselves back on top.
that's one thing I
Directly
would
at the
say,
camera.
man.
You don't have to
Yeah,
go to the
that's one thing
penitentiary
I
to
would
learn a
say.
life lesson.
That's true, you don't. But sometimes some of the
Somebody do
men
10
learn some of the
years.
biggest life lessons. You
It's
don't.
It's
I mean,
true.
true. I
So
don't
a
either.
10 year,
But
you
for some
lost so
people,
much
that
time,
is the kick.
right? Like,
But
because
you
we got
know,
to
you
start
remember
teaching young
you heard
guys,
people that used to have. You
I
remember we
mean,
used to have
I
people
y'all
that
feel
had
talking at the
like
those
same time.
conversations.
when
Hmm.
it comes to time, I feel like it shouldn't be no time because life, I wouldn't put a limit on because you learn every single day, and it's hard to basically learn from your mistakes. Every single day you gotta wake up and you basically you basically gotta put your best foot forward every single day, and that's not easy for everyone to do. Because everybody comes from different circumstances. A lot of people got a lot of things going on in their mental, and one thing I would say, the first thing you gotta do is clear your mental. If you're trying to get to the next stage in life or like whatever you're trying to do, you gotta clear your mental because if your mental is clouded, you're thinking about the same things every day, the same negative things every day. That's not something that I suggest. I suggest you try to wake up every day and clear your mental. You try to start the day on a fresh new leash, and it's
An-
hard to do, but that's
an-
something that I feel
Another
like every man have to
another
do
thing, another
is
thing
clear the
too,
mental.
Miss Wellen, what we spoke on it. You feel like that people that make these mistakes, they waste a lot of time. I also feel we talking about mental health here, right? I also feel like we put too much emphasis on
On
time.
time.
We got to
Woo!
understand time is just
For
a
sure.
social construct of man. You
For sure.
understand? Like sometimes that could put the pressure on your mental health by
For
thinking you have to
sure.
do everything by somebody
So
else's
fast.
timeline. You
but
feel
you
me?
know this.
We all
This is the
got different
thing.
timelines.
I
That's the
agree.
thing. I think that the conversation around timeline does look very different for men and women because what we're told as women
It
in
sure
Right.
society is
does.
like you got a
I was about
certain
to get
time
to
to
that.
get this done. And so when we're looking for male counterparts, right? When we're looking for people to be evenly yoked with us, it's like if I was told I need to get this by a certain age, do this by a certain time, there's also a such thing
Yeah,
like
you were
women have a
told.
biological there's a timeline for us. So men saying, hey,
Yeah.
we got forever to be fathers. Men can say, I got until 70 to learn how to be a better parent. I have in the rest of my life to go and experience these things. I could do 20 years, come out, start a new life, own a business because it's in front of me, raise a whole new family and do that. That time, if I spent 20 years behind bars, I took from myself. I stole valuable time from
Yeah,
myself. Not
everybody
that I
took for
can't get a
themselves.
new life,
You ever
but
you
it
ever
looks
seen somebody that's
differently.
been locked up for a long time? That man in the past. You feel me?
Yeah, but look, I done seen
they
people
whole life
locked
has
up
been
though.
halted. So yeah,
I done seen people
everybody
locked
suffers
up.
from waste. Everyone suffers from wasted time. But
Yeah,
but sticking to, like you even said, you were told to do this by a certain time. That means that you were dictated to, you know. So sometimes, and a lot of times, like being a man, it's hard to dictate to a man. You understand? Like a man got, like you even spoke on it. Men think they got their own timeline, they got their own thing. So you really can't dictate to a man. You gotta try to guide them. You feel me?
every single
If
day
someone
is a life lesson. You feel me? We only got
every
24
day,
hours. You feel me?
every
To
day.
learn from our mistakes. You feel me? And then go to sleep and to basically wake up and try to say, all right, cool. Yesterday I did this wrong. How can I be a better man today? That's what we gotta start thinking.
See,
Man, all
I
right,
respect
yesterday,
it. I
I did,
respect that.
two mistakes.
But I respect that when somebody learns from their mistakes. The problem that I have is when people consistently make the same ones and repeat the same patterns of
Real shit.
behavior. I find that a lot of
But
people
Go
but
self
ahead.
sometimes
sabotage, right? When something's going good in their life, they find
Mm-hmm.
ways because they don't feel like they're entitled to good things. Like there's a lot of black men that I feel like, yo, hey,
Happiness.
you doing good at that job. You doing good in school. You making it happen. And they become their own saboteurs in life. They do things to break it down because they
Hey,
boys start judging them from where they were instead of where they are, and they start to sabotage their own success. And then that's when the mistakes start to go on repeat because it's a cycle of behavior.
That's
I
right.
feel like though, I'm sorry, I feel like it shouldn't be a timeline or mistakes because you feel me? I feel like every single day you could be putting your best foot forward and making the same mistakes. Yeah, you do have a alright, cool, I made this mistake today, but sometimes it takes you a while to get into the flow, like sometimes, um, just because you notice that mistake doesn't mean necessarily gonna improve tomorrow on that mistake. It might take you a month to improve on that mistake. It might take you a year to improve on that mistake. I feel like mistakes shouldn't be a timeline, but you should learn to improve, even if it's little by little. You know what I mean?
so and it's funny that we having this. Well, it's not funny, but it's great that we having this conversation because, like you said, Miss, you want people. You need women are on a biological clock, right? And you
For
want
sure.
someone to. You need someone to hurry up and become that person that they need to be, right?
Yeah, that's
And
kind of
men,
tough.
like you just explained, level up, cool. You feel like I may have to take my time to to fill in these mistakes.
No
And
cap.
right there is the line of communication that distracts us from the man and the woman thing. Okay? Because we're
Agreed.
speaking two different languages. And another thing I
Yeah,
wanted to say about the self sabotage, how we fix things is communication. A lot of times when people self sabotage, that's because of the trauma that they went through. Right?
that's right.
We're talking about mental health here. You're right. Some people don't know how to be successful. Do you know how many black people, because of the trauma, the shit that we've been through, we don't even know how to take success. We don't know what success look like.
Yep,
We got a million
That's right.
dollars. We like, fuck it, throw that shit over a
You
balcony.
tear it up.
it's called
Right?
Told
imposter
you.
You know,
syndrome.
we
A lot of people struggle with
But
that. They're like, who
here's
am
my
I to
thing.
be
there
great?
you
Who am
go.
I to be wonderful? And that's what they
Who am
struggle
I?
with.
But see, it takes a while. But see, it
I'm
takes
from
a
the hood. I could
while.
die tomorrow. So what?
It
I'm
So
a
takes a while
millionaire.
for you
It's the
to tap
trauma.
into that. You
That's
feel
the
me?
self sabotage.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while for you to tap into that self sabotage, because I just started YouTube a couple of days ago. You know how long I wanted to start a YouTube for a couple of years now. Why didn't I start a YouTube a couple of years ago? Because I was self sabotaging myself, and then one day I'm like, you know what? I just started it. You feel me? So I think it's the mindset. I think it depends on how clear your mind is, and also your mood. For the day. That's why I try to tap into meditation. Clearing my mind. Because once you clear your mind, your mood becomes better, and then that allows you to do things that you want to do. And
Bro.
this might be a crazy thing to say, but I kind of like to stay by myself sometimes, not all the time, but
ain't nothing
I
wrong with
kind of
that.
roll by myself because I feel like when you're around other people, you kind of go off of what other people say and what other people do. But when you tap in with yourself, you kind of go off what you want to do and what you thinking about, and I think that's what kind of gave me the motivation to start my YouTube, but because like I
But
was
you know,
able to
a
tap in with
lot of that
myself.
is too. A lot of why people self sabotage and they can't improve, especially men, is the fear, right? I believe it was Langston Hughes who said, "What is our fear? Right? What is our greatest fear? Our fear is not that we're inadequate. Our fear is that we powerful beyond measure. How
Correct.
Come on
powerful can
now.
we be if we
Come
live up
on
to our
now.
true potential? We scared of that. You know what I'm saying? What if we are made in His image? What if we are Christ-like? What if we do have superpowers like they said we was gonna have a couple years ago? You feel me? A lot of
So
us are scared of that. What if you
We do got
started your
superpowers,
YouTube?
but we
What
ain't
if you
gonna tap
started
into
your
that.
YouTube and got 1 million followers tomorrow? Could you handle that?
That's
You feel what
crazy.
I'm saying? It's fear.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you guys. I do. I know a lot of times we talk about self-sabotage and different things, and it's mental health and everything else. A lot of times in conversation, you hear a lot of men say that they feel they can't cry, they can't be vulnerable, they can't do all these things. Why do you think men feel like they struggle in that area? What is the reasoning to why you feel like you can't express your emotion? You can't come in and be like, this is what it is. Why do you feel like you have to hide this emotion or stomach it in and it can't be brought out?
I would say because of your support
Especially
system.
black men.
Yeah, I would say you gotta have a good support system. If you don't got somebody that you could be vulnerable around, it's a tough, it's a tough thing. And I suggest if you don't have anybody to be vulnerable around, you get a therapist. You tap in with a therapist, somebody that you actually talk to and get that weight off your chest. I've been in therapy for a year now, consistently, and I'm still in therapy, not like how I was a year ago, because I feel like I learned from therapy, and I feel like I don't need as much as I did last year, but I definitely tapped in and I definitely got my mental right. And a therapist is something that I feel like every man should need, because if you don't have that good support system, a therapist is going to be your support system, the right therapist. I
The
mean,
right
No,
so
therapist. I think I'm
Man,
in a
the
hey
space
right
man,
where I
therapist.
believe
hey look man,
all black
congratulations on
people.
therapy, man.
Facts.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
Cause
that's that's one of my
Yes.
fears. Therapy. You know what I
Therapy?
mean?
you know,
Why?
But why is
Why?
it
Well,
a
we're
fear?
not
Why is it
tapping
a
with that.
fear?
But
yeah, that's
yeah,
that's that's what I want to know.
Maybe
Like
I love
I'm
yo.
scared
I
to know.
love
Maybe I'm
therapy. I
scared to
love
know.
I love
I get
therapy
that.
because like
But let me
therapy allows you to talk. Man, we don't
yeah,
talk,
let
and
me
that's
say
the
this.
reason why we
See, I
so
think that's the
angry.
difference. That's the difference in me is because I talk. I let it out. Now
Mm.
And
we,
you
we're
should
talking
with your
about why men
therapist.
can't. Go ahead, huh?
I said you should with your therapist, but the reason why I asked why are you scared because I've heard people that had this conversation before with like you ask like a lot of things will happen. People will say go to therapy, and you'll have people be like, "Well, what is the therapist going to tell me about myself? What is it there?" And it's just to let
No,
it out. That's why I'm kind of
because
wondering
it's
what's your
Yo,
it's
fear.
not
look,
about
that's
people.
why
I'm
I
gonna hit you
tell
with
I
this.
say
people,
I'm gonna
this,
hit you with
yeah.
this.
yo,
So
you gotta
we're talking
experience
about
it.
why men can't
Hold
be
on.
vulnerable. I'm about to hit you with the why men can't be vulnerable real
Okay.
quick, okay? Because a lot of that vulnerability, in order to be vulnerable with somebody, you gotta have the trust. Okay? We
True.
talked about the trauma. The trauma creates trust issues. How many people in your life do you trust? You feel me?
That's a
But
I
fact.
at
bet
some point,
everybody only got
you
one
gotta
hand.
trust. You gotta
You,
trust somebody. Like you gotta open up to somebody. You can't
but
sit
see
there and let
that could be
all
a
them
fallacy though.
emotions.
What if that person you trust cross you? Then who you trust?
See, this is the
I mean,
You
your
reality of the
trust
therapist.
situation, right?
everybody after
I
that.
think that
You
when
feel me?
people go into
But
That's what
that's
happened.
people
So
think that when going into
I just want to
therapy, that
explain
is
this to
just
you
about
guys.
the talking, right? And I really do come from it from a different perspective. Like I said, as a therapist, I always express this to people. It is not just the talking that you do in therapy. It's the planning. It's the
Right.
strategizing. It's the creating the space for yourself. Whether or not I go in there and say a
Word.
single word, people think that you got to come in front of me and say everything all at once and drop your whole life. That's not even what you got to do. If you want to spend 45 minutes sitting in silence because you don't get no peace at home, then that's what you use the 45 minutes for. If you want to use that 45
Real
minutes
mm,
shit.
to cry, to get you to sit up there and figure out your next move or your next step in life, then use that time to plan effectively. I think people use therapy from one lens and they feel like they owe somebody their bearing their soul. And that's not what it is. I say
They
Right.
don't.
therapy could be very effective
That's
planning for somebody.
Therapy is like riding a bike, like first you kind of scared, you know what I mean, to ride the bike, and then you put your training wheels on. The training wheel is your first day. You feel me? Your first day, you're gonna meet your therapist. You're gonna introduce yourself. You're gonna tell your story. Your therapist is gonna listen to you. He gonna ask questions. Based on the questions that he asks you, that's when you start to tap in. You start to let everything go. Listen, I've been adopted. I'm struggling with this in my life. I'm struggling with this. And the good thing about a therapist, he's gonna give you good advice on what to do for your next situation. My therapist, he gave me great advice. I love my therapist. I try to tap in with him at least once a month, just to talk about things that that's going on, like in my life. And the good thing about a therapist is that you can't talk to everybody about your problems, your girlfriend, your fiance, your brother, your sister. Not everybody gonna understand.
but
Your
hey,
therapist is
but my
somebody that's
guy,
gonna
shouldn't
understand
shouldn't
you.
shouldn't you be able to though?
What you mean?
Shouldn't you be able to share if you're sharing your life with a person? If someone can be around me, if someone can share my energy, and they around me every day, they
But
live with me, they sleep
I
next to
feel,
me.
but look.
Why shouldn't I be able to share
I'm gonna tell you.
with
I'm gonna
them?
tell you. I'm gonna tell you right
You
now.
feel
Say
me? I
therapy
feel
It's
like
is
about
if
to
you
get
can't, then you
spooky.
need to get a new person around you.
Whoa, whoa.
therapy is therapy is judgment free zone. Judgment free zone. You
But
could
here,
talk
no,
about
no. Here's the
Why?
thing. Hold
whatever.
on,
We not
please
Thurgood Marshall.
tag me in. Hold on,
No
wait.
one should
But
be
here's the
judging.
thing.
Why do you judge people that you love?
But
Hold
no,
on,
no.
lady.
Here's the
Which
What you
thing.
have to
people?
say?
When you deal with a therapist, right? I tell people this: you get a non-biased opinion. So that's what
Facts.
it is. If I talk to my partner knows my mama, they know my brother, they know my sister, they know these people. I get a non-biased opinion. You don't know these people, you know nothing about them. So yes, can I talk to my partner about it? I can. I can bring this to them. I can say all these things to them. But guess what? When they give me a response, they're going to give it to me based off of their opinion of these people. My therapist don't know these people from a can of paint. So it's a non-biased opinion of how you're receiving
I
it and
got the
talking. So yes,
And
I
this,
can talk to my partner. I trust my partner.
I got the
let me
perfect
say,
example. I got the perfect example of why I started going to my therapist. So I was having little issues at work or whatever the case may be, right? I used to talk to my partner about it, right? But it's good to talk to your partner. Your partner is there to always listen to you, right? But after a while, like when you start talking about the same thing over and over again, yo, I hate this job, yo, I don't want to be here no more. Yo, I gotta get up out of here. It starts to get annoying. Your partner want to keep listening to that. So that's when it's good to tap into your therapist, yo, I got something to get off my chest.
let
I
me
gotta
say
talk
this.
about this. I gotta speak about this. And then
This is also what I feel like people have to be aware of when you are in a relationship with somebody. Trauma bonding is a thing. So, like you said, I come into this
Yes,
relationship
hmm
with my own personal trauma.
yes,
You come into this
Sure
relationship with
is.
trauma. And now negativity
definitely,
creates more negativity, like positivity creates positivity. So, if I'm in a negative headspace, right,
definitely,
and I'm pouring all of my trauma onto you, I can trigger you into a headspace, right? And now we both trauma
definitely.
bonding
Mm-hmm.
together, but we can't
You
lift
could
each other
cause
up, right? So now I'm not
you could
encouraging
cause
you
your
to go
partner.
get the support or you to get the support. Like, I don't know if y'all
Yeah,
heard in media where like Young Thug said to Mariah the Scientist or whatever the case is, he felt like she shouldn't go to therapy because they're in a relationship. His girl should be able to come to him with her problems. What if her
I
problems
disagree.
have deep roots in trauma that you don't know how to address or handle? And that is just going to persist.
but the reason why he said that because he felt like she didn't trust him
But
to
that's
let
not
him
the
out.
case all the
And I
time.
get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to knock therapy at all, but I also think the problem with our community and our people and the communication between men and women is that we're connecting to the entire wrong people.
yo,
You feel
I
what I'm
got a
saying?
question for you
Because
though.
in my experience, bro, I done been through a lot of shit. Like my mother just passed in 2020, right? You feel
Sorry
me?
about that.
I'm
I
sorry to hear
still
that.
haven't gone to
Condolences.
no therapy, right? But
hmm
at the same time, I can trust the people that I'm around, and me going through things have let me know that I got real ass people around me. You feel me? Like a lot of people don't have those real people around them. My friends ain't yes men. My people gonna tell me, hey Al, you was tripping. Hey Al, you stupid for that. Hey Al, you dumb. You need to focus on this. You need to do this. You need to do better. You feel what I'm saying? Sometimes we surround ourselves with people that just let us self-sabotage ourselves.
Because
I
the
remember my,
blind,
my homie even told me, my man I was doing a
You said a
podcast
whole
with.
word.
Huh?
You said a whole word. That's all I'm saying. You
Yeah.
said a whole word just
Yeah.
now.
My man that I was doing the podcast with, the Prodigal Brothers podcast, my man James, even told me, he was like, dog, I'm not about to sit around and let you sabotage yourself. I'm not about to do that shit. He not going for that.
but
So
like you
that's what I'm
said,
saying. Those are the type
but
of people that are around me. And I feel like if
everybody
people
don't have
if
that.
people would connect to
Exactly.
like-minded people, and that people that actually match their energy or people that deserve their energy, then we would do a lot better in our mental health space.
But we
We
speak
You
about
would,
know what?
finding
but the
your
thing
tribe.
is,
Yeah, we do.
sometimes, but I say, go ahead.
We speak about
I was about to
finding
say
your
we
tribe,
would,
right?
but the thing is, oh,
Yeah.
Finding
Finding
like-minded
your
people
tribe,
they
right.
really gel with. You
Finding
know
your
what I'm
tribe.
saying? And that's not always the easy situation. Like you said, it's a blessing to say that you have good people in your corner who could pour into you, who could even check you when you feel like
mm-hmm.
you're doing something wrong. But the fact is, less people have that than more people realize.
Yeah,
There's a
I
lot of
realize
people
that.
walking
Yeah.
out here. The
Yes.
blind are leading the blind out here. The most people who get involved, the most young men who find
Tell me about it.
themselves invested in gang culture and activity are the lost ones, right? They're like, I'm looking for guidance. I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
support. I'm looking for community. You know how many people get caught up in this world, finding themselves in communities that are really meant to support them, but destroy them? So they gravitate towards people and personalities that they think are safe spaces,
Yeah, no
right? Because they
business.
don't have that support or that foundation. Like that's why I feel like having a therapist is just one tool. Hey, I'm one of those people who believe in Jesus and therapy exist in the same place. I don't need just one tool to make it in life. Arsenal of tools. I gotta have multiple
Real.
ways of expressing myself and multiple ways of making myself feel better, communicating, building support around me. It's not just
So,
one way to get it out here.
how
And you mentioned
comfortable
something.
are y'all talking about your emotions, though? Are y'all comfortable like that talking about your emotions?
But
See,
I'm super comfortable, and it's because of you. You just spoke on it. You said finding yourself. I
mm,
I was lucky to find myself at a young
Mm-hmm.
age. Not only find myself, but be comfortable with who I am. You understand? Knowledge of self. Like that's like when you speak about young men that's out here lost, they don't have knowledge of self and they're not comfortable with who they are. So you're out here pretending to be somebody, and that's why
you
you
know
got fake
why though? A
people
lot of
around you.
people.
I'm an honest person. I'm
Oh,
very honest. I respect my feelings. I express my feelings. Everybody that knows me know that. You know, if I'm upset, I'm telling you I'm pissed the fuck off right now. Now,
that's true.
if I disrespect you, I'll come back and apologize. I'm just that type of dude.
That's
I'd
true.
rather
I
just
know
I'd
you to
rather
know.
just
That's
get it
true.
out. I'd rather just get it out there and deal with the consequences. It's the best way. I'm not gonna hold that in.
Some people do. Some people hold it in until it's the last second, then they explode.
Exactly. Exactly. And
But
I'm
I
that
But
type of
but
person
see,
that if I hold it in, I will explode. And that's dangerous for
It's the
black men.
But
straw.
That's
I'm also
yeah,
dangerous for
gonna
black
keep it a
men, bro.
buck. There's also a such thing as I see a lot of young men who struggle with their impulses, right? Because they feel how they feel all of the time and they
Yes.
want to let it loose. They don't always know level of appropriateness. Why you had to go say that to that person? You could look in somebody's eyes and see when they ready to do something dangerous, right? Know when to hold back, know
Hmm.
when to express yourself, but also know when to honor your own safety, your personal safety, right? So I say a lot of the times, like that poor impulse control or that gut reaction to things, you're not giving yourself enough of an opportunity to process, right? What's happening or what could happen
Hey,
next
look,
before
you
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 already
definitely
release.
are a therapist because I done been in them impulse situations where I done made terrible decisions and I done fucked myself
yo,
completely up. So
I done
that's
definitely
how
had
I
a
know
couple
you a
impulse
therapist. You good at
situations.
your shit.
I done definitely had a couple impulse
Cause
situations
you
too.
right. I mean, because there's pros and cons to everything. You feel me? Like I
It
said, I
is.
get things off my chest to get it out of me. I'm an overthinker. I'll sit up and beat myself up all night over something that if I let somebody slip or if I played myself or I felt some type of way and I didn't express it or different things like that. So I'd rather
I
just
got a
get it
question
out
for
the
you,
way.
Al. I got a question for you, Al.
What's up?
How do you how do you like decompress, like when you stressed out, like when you moody, how do you like decompress yourself, stay grounded? Like what's some of the tips that
Hey,
you do?
bro, I'm not even gonna lie. That's probably why I do need therapy because I don't really have a routine. I ain't gonna lie, smoke a lot of weed and drink a lot, bro. But
Mm.
another thing I do. I mean, just to be honest, I mean that's what we
We
do.
gonna
We
talk about
medicate,
it. We
right?
gonna talk.
When we
Yeah.
stressed out. Now now another thing I do is like I said, I talk about what's on my mind, bro. Like real shit. Like I said, I
But
got
like, do
great
you have
people
a
around
certain
me, and
person
I
you
believe the
talk to?
reason why I have great people around me is because I'm an honest person, and people respect that. You know what I mean? A lot and a
Do you
lot a lot of things about uh, being honest like that is you realize that everybody around you is real. Cause phony people hate when you being yourself, when you're being honest, when you're being confident. Phony people
That's right.
dislike that. You understand? So if you're true to yourself all the time, every second of the day, then the people that gravitate towards you will also be true to their self, and they'll respect you for who you are.
Like,
So
got you? I
I'm
got
able to I'm able to decompress with the people around me, man. I'm able to tell people like I don't hide shit from my homies. You know what I'm saying? I'm
I
not
got
that
one more
type of
question.
person. Good.
I got one more question. How do you deal with your anger? Like when you angry, you feel like you want to f something up. How do you deal with that? Like, what's some of the
Exercise,
things you
bro.
do for that?
Like,
Got
bro,
you.
I grew up an athlete. You feel me? And the one thing about being an athlete, especially playing football, you talk about decompress. That's where I do it. That's why I get that anger out. I hit the gym. You
but do
go
y'all
for
know
a
why?
run. You do some push-ups,
Y'all know
huh?
why y'all feel that way about
What you
exercise and why that's powerful for you? Because exercise induces your endorphins. It boosts your endorphins. It helps change that brain
right?
chemistry that gives you those positive feelings. It allows you to relax your muscles,
Yes.
relax your
Definitely.
mind, make more informed choices. Like, I wish that more people encourage their children not just to play in sports, just for the simple fact, like, hey, I want you to make a career out of this, but I want you to do
Win a
something good for your
championship.
mind and your body.
Right.
That's
I
right.
want you to do something good for your mind, to
Right.
build lifelong skills,
Want you
to
to be
take care of your
active. Be
mind and your
be
body.
being an
Be
active
active.
person.
Yeah, being an active person.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a
And
lot of young guys, when they stop playing sports, they be like, damn, why I gained all this weight? Why I started eating bad? Because they didn't realize the discipline that was instilled during
You stop.
athletics when
that's the
they were
shit that happened
younger
to me.
was not just for that period of their life. It was for a lifetime. It was teaching them lifelong strategies on how to be successful in mind and
Right.
in
Mm-hmm.
body.
So my question is, since we have black kings here and black queens, what can we do? If you had to give a suggestion, what could we do to get a better understanding? I feel like sometimes we always speak about we could get men in a room and women in a room and hash it out. What can we do to get a better understanding of y'all, especially with Mental Health Awareness Month and everything else? What could we do to get a better understanding of y'all?
Of like
I
men
feel
in general.
Yeah, like how
I
can we
feel
Black
like
foster
men
both
a
in
better
general.
sides.
relationship? Yeah, conversation and better
Yes,
relationships so we
because
can
I
get on
feel
one
like
accord.
yes, because I feel like sometimes it's made out like we don't understand y'all, we don't this, we don't. So what can we do to you know what I'm saying? Help us out.
I want to answer that with a question, right? Like
Okay.
how many times do a woman really study a man,
Mm.
right? Do you study a man? Do you know his movements? Do you
Mm.
know? Can you figure out how he thinks? Because I'm
Mm.
gonna tell you something.
Feel
I study women.
okay.
Okay. I
You
had to
know what I
roll up
mean?
my sleeves real quick.
Man that you love and you respect and that you feel like love and respect you, you studied that man.
Let me tell
If
you
you
But
something.
I'm
respect
not
me
talking
and I
about.
respect you,
I'm
I done
talking about a
studied you too.
sociological aspect of it. I'm
Yeah,
not talking about just one
but
person.
I'm
I
gonna be
study
real.
all women
Let's.
because I want to better understand them.
So let me say this. I
I
You
feel
think
feel what
like
I'm
that
once
saying?
a woman,
Like, go. I'm
I feel
sorry.
like
Go.
once your partner understands you, the first thing I say, the number one thing for a man and a woman to mesh is understanding. That goes along such a long way because if you don't understand me, if you don't understand why I go to the gym at 6 in the morning, like,
Yeah.
like why I eat certain foods, why I go to work at certain times. you gotta understand that because that's how I function, that's how I flow, that's my routine. You gotta understand a person's routine. If you can't understand a person's routine, that you know, because a routine is what makes a person. You feel me? The routine is what makes a person flow. You know, a person go. You know,
But
without the
and the thing,
routine, people feel like they didn't, really accomplish what they really did for the day. So if you gotta understand your partner's routine, you know what I mean? If you can't understand that, then you're not really gonna understand other things that's going on in your partner's life.
I gotta keep it a buck, right?
hmm
I feel like I gotta say it like this. You can understand someone, but not always accept everything that goes on with a person, right? So just because I understand why you're
okay,
doing it doesn't mean I
Okay,
have
I
to
like
but that's
that.
accept
what a
it
relationship
and thing.
is
Because
what
like
you're
you could
willing to
I could
accept.
be like, oh hey, he does this because he went through this when he was younger. That don't mean I gotta accept it because
Yeah,
it hurts me, right?
you
We
don't
have to
have
be
to.
able to communicate. If
You
something
don't
in
got.
your routine is also impacting me and my functioning, then that's when we have to foster a
True.
better line of understanding. And I also feel like,
That's
going
where
But
back
compromise
to
comes
that's
in.
why
y'all mentioning,
communication is key,
do we
right?
study? You said,
Hey,
do we
hey,
study
look,
men?
I understand that you do this because of this, but can you try to do this because this makes me feel like this?
Word.
And I think a lot of women, when
I
they
felt that.
But
communicate
my
that
thing
way,
is,
a lot of men are like, you asking to change me. You trying to tell me that I need to
mm-hmm.
change. Whereas I'm not asking you to change.
But I'm
I'm telling you that
communicating.
But that's
your
but
behavior is
but
impacting my
that's poor
functioning.
communication on that dude's part too. You know another thing too, you can't really be in a relationship with a bad communicator. I learned that the hard way
Facts.
too.
That's a
Like
What's
fact.
a bad
if
communicator though?
everything I'm saying to you feels like an attack, then guess what? You can't be around me. You see how I talk? I'm kind of aggressive. I mean said to be aggressive, but I'm very assertive. You understand? Now, if a woman can't handle someone being assertive, then we can't be together. You feel me? So at the same time, communication works both ways. It's both speaking and listening and receiving and giving the message properly. You understand? So at the same time, if someone's never receiving your communication, that person is bad at communication, and the relationship may not be for you.
I
But
agree. I think
also
it
too, I
works for
want to
both
say, all right,
sides.
cool.
Right?
You do
Yeah,
have your routine.
communication works two ways.
You do
Go
have
ahead,
your
bro. My
routine
bad.
and the thing. Now, okay, so you do have your you do have your routines and the things that you do on a daily, right? But then sometimes your routine could get in the way of other things also because at the end of the day you gotta compromise. It's not all about you. You have a partner,
Well, that's
so
what
that's when
relationships are. Communication,
you
compromise.
gotta.
These are pillars of relationships, bro. And I
So
think
for
and I
example,
think
right?
this is what the problem with the man and the woman thing is that we don't even have we don't have foundation to stand on. You understand? We sitting
Facts.
here thinking relationships is going out to eat and looking good on the gram and
Word.
fucking sleeping together and having kids and raising a family. But what if you ain't got the foundation? You don't have the pillars. You don't
What's
have
the
the
foundation
communication.
though?
Y'all don't
What's
have
the
the
foundation?
understanding of each other. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to like if you mess with a partner, it could be 8. It's 8:45. What your partner doing? You like, oh, this nigga probably he probably playing pool down at that bar. You should have an idea of
Of
what your
what your
person
partner doing?
does. That's
Facts.
understanding. You know
Exactly.
No
what I'm
cap.
saying? You
No
know what
cap.
they do. Like I said, I talk about the people that's around me. I'm a night owl. I'm up at night. My people know you get a call 3, 4 in the morning, they know it's me. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't even have to look at the phone because they have an understanding of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's what the issue is between the man and woman relationship too, is that we no longer care about the foundation of a relationship anymore. We're in it for that we're in it for only the infatuation phase. But there's
Mm.
so many phases to relationships.
I think that starts with friendship. People don't foster genuine friendships
That's
or
true.
connection anymore. See, the point of trust, you said that people don't trust the people in their lives. How do I learn to trust somebody if the first thing that people do is, I like you, you like me, I vibe you, you vibe me, but we don't even make sure that there's anything solid to build on? People are going off of pure attraction. They
Right.
jumping into bed, they
Right.
developing soul ties with one another, and they're
I don't even
not
know
building
you.
those blocks that make
Right.
it go beyond looks, beyond how we feel on this, but can I build a friendship? Friendship as a foundation of any relationship and any marriage and any partnership is more solid footing, because you have that
But
person
that's to
in your
say it's
life
your
a
best
lot
friend.
longer than anybody else. That should start to be like your best friend.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
you can't expect to just go into
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
go
something
ahead.
trusting people just because you say, "Hey, we together now." And I think that's a lot of the
Right.
the rhetoric.
Hey, we
But
go
also, I
together.
want to say too.
Now all of a sudden there's trust, loyalty, honesty. What?
Yeah,
Just
because
because
we
you
go
said a
together.
word,
People just
it's
say
just
like,
not how it
"We
works.
good."
But
Yeah,
you're correct. There's no courtship, there's no friendship, and all of that stuff is gone now. You understand? You meet people off of a profile that they created themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't get the Carfax on this person.
man, yo, that
So
Carfax statement is a
I
real one. I ain't
love.
gonna hold.
Yeah, I mean,
So I
we not
love.
doing that because we judging relation. We getting into relationships off of how someone makes us feel. You understand? It's a lot of emotion. Oh, this person makes me happy. I like being around this person. He makes me laugh. You know what I'm saying? Nigga might be toxic just because he make you laugh, because he make you feel the type of way. Like I said, I study women. I know how to make them feel. I can do it. You know what I'm saying? I know exactly what they want, what they do, how they want to move, and all I can do is play into those. You can play into those things and
But
make
see,
them.
I, I
That's
see.
how it works.
So
This is my whole thing. Well,
so
I gotta say
you
this. I
got
gotta say this, Lady A, because a lot of the men that you hear growing up, a part of their foundation is having women in their lives, right? So when you say, do women study men? I think that women being nurturers and caretakers for a vast majority of people in society, have they not had the experience of seeing what a boy looks like turning into a man, from grandmothers to aunties to sisters to a lot of the women in your life? We've seen what men are. We've seen what they're like when they're away from their people, when they're away from their other boys. We see what it's like for them to grow, mature, develop emotionally, what it's like for them to express anger instead of sadness because they feel like it's more societally acceptable. I feel like, who doesn't know the other one better? I feel like you said men have learned how to present to women in a way that makes women feel comfortable just because they could put on a different
I'm not
face
saying all
to be
men.
other
I'm
people.
not saying all men.
yeah.
I was speaking
You know,
personally.
I feel you, but I feel like that's a lot. A lot of men do that. They put on who they feel
So
women want them to be until they can no longer wear that face. But a lot of women, I feel
Right.
like they
That
learn
right.
men from the
That's
core
what I
and
was
they
saying.
try to
I don't
connect
wear a
with,
face, bro.
you know,
Like
because that's why I feel like the
when you don't wear a mask. Go
mm,
ahead. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I'm
because I
doing it
just feel
again.
like that's where
so
it's
go ahead.
deceptive. I feel like a lot of male and female dynamics is like, if there's reciprocity, if there's honesty, then we could be good. But if we're all being deceptive, I'm showing you the face that I want you to see.
Right.
And then when it's time for me to take off the mask, you may not like what you see. I may not vibe with you no more
You're
because
not
I
gonna
bought into a
you're not gonna
presentation
like
that
what you
didn't
see.
really exist.
Right. And
Right.
that's why I refuse to create a presentation. You know what I mean? Like I'm a person that shows up. I mean, God said, "Come as you are." You know what I mean? I'm being godlike by showing up me every single time. You know, I never like I never really understood that. I never really understood the I'm gonna pretend like I got money. Like that shit weird. Like I don't want to pretend like I got money. That she gonna expect money. You feel me? Like I mean. But you're exactly right though. That's another dynamic between the man and women communication is that we both putting up fronts. We both putting up fronts and we don't even know who the other person is. The woman got on makeup all day. The woman she got to get her hair done. She's scared that she can't even wipe the makeup off her face before she go to sleep when the man sleep over type shit. You know?
Yeah, you saying it right.
True,
That's
I
true,
why I
mean
said,
true.
So
we're both wearing masks. We're both wearing masks.
In the beginning,
so
because
go ahead. Go ahead.
because I feel like we're both wearing masks in the beginning because we both want each other to like each other. You know, we both trying to impress each other. But after a
The
while, you know,
representative.
after you get comfortable in a relationship, you start going a couple weeks without a haircut. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you
But
start,
as you can see, I do
you
that
don't
shit
got.
all the time.
Now, I mean, your
That's
sneakers is not
naturally
as
me.
fresh
So
as they was when you first met Shorty. You know, so after
keep
a
it a
while, you
bean.
start getting
so let
into
me
your comfortable braids.
I
so let me
intentionally
say
create situations where you get to see my natural hair out when you rocking with me. I don't wear makeup every day because I feel like that's not real. I don't wake up one of those days like
That's
every
not
day
who
I
you
gotta
are.
beat my
mhm.
face.
And real men
I
know that.
I do what I like to do when I'm in the vibe to do it. Like I look good for me. And
Right.
by way of that, if my partner says, "Hey, I like how you look today, baby. You put it extra on or whatever," That's cool. But you said it yourself. You have to also love you at the core of it, right? And that naturally exudes out to other
Most
people.
definitely.
When you're confident, it reflects
Yes.
back to others, right? So I feel like if you have a partner who's assured
Yes.
of who they are, it exudes. You're attracted to that. That's the pheromone that you picking up on, that they got good energy. They're naturally funny. They're naturally beautiful inside and out. That's what you pick up on about people. That's not who shows up, as Lady A always says, the representative.
Right.
So let me say this. I love the energy in the room. Let me just say this. I love the energy. The energy is giving. But
Definitely.
for people that are new to this, it's savage question time.
Savage question
All right.
time.
So,
She about to
since we
get
have the men
savage
in
up?
the room, since we have the men in the room, my question for you guys is, what does it look like when no one's around and you don't have to be strong anymore? What does that look like?
Hmm. I can answer that. For me, when no one's around and I don't have to be strong anymore. Um, for me, it's a long time. It's time to myself. It's time for me to get my mental right. Whether that's me going to the gym or just tapping in with something that I always wanted to do in my life, therapy time, I tap in with my therapist because everybody got something that replays in their mind all the time. Whether it's for example, my brother, he's in jail right now. My little brother, you know me. I'm worried about my little brother, even though he good every day. Yo, you know, my, you know, my brother's on my mind, so
Nice.
that kind of replays in my mind, and that could fuck up my day. You know what I mean? Like, damn, my brother in jail. Hopefully he good. Hopefully he not getting into no fights. Hopefully he got food. So that could also mess up with my day, and that could also cause trauma. So I try to stay grounded. I try to talk to my brother. I try to give my brother inspiration. Make sure my brother, his head is high. Because if his head is high, my head is high. You feel me? So a day like that for me is just staying grounded. Going to the gym and just tapping in with myself and just telling myself that everything is good, everything is okay,
Okay.
because your mind can play tricks on you. Your mind can say everything is not okay, but deep down inside everything is okay. That's why I say it's always good to clear your mind, meditate for 10
That's right.
minutes. you know
Al, what does it look like for you?
I'm trying to understand the question better. You said, what does it
So
look
I
like
say pretty
when you
much,
don't have to
what
be
does it look
strong
like
anymore?
when you don't have to be strong anymore? When you put that guard down, that barrier down, that fence down, what does that look like when you don't have to be strong? When you don't have to put up that facade anymore? What does that look like?
I mean, the thing about it is, I'm gonna answer it like this: as a man, we men, like our job as men is service. There's a lot of men don't understand that. We're here to serve. We're here to serve our ladies, our children. I mean, our communities.
our
We're
family.
here to we're here to build things. You know, that's what men do. So like, I'm not sure about the not be strong part, because like, even if I'm by
When all
myself, which is
that,
what
what I'm
I
saying
pray.
is, yes, when all that disappears, when all that
Yeah,
disappears,
but
what does
but
it look
but
like
see,
to know you can?
so I'm a father, right?
Okay,
As a man, it can't ever disappear. I could get a phone call. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about that. Like, I mean, like,
See,
I'm if you're talking about me relaxing, like I said, that's why I practice being myself at all times. Like, I'm always relaxed. Now, me putting my guard down and just being, like, we talked about vulnerability. That was like a topic of the show, right? There's never complete vulnerability as a man. There's levels to it. You understand? Like, I may peep out the peephole. I may unlatch the chain latch. I may unlock the door. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna leave my door wide open.
but I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
you
You know
real
always
what I'm
with
gotta stay
you.
saying?
on point.
I
As a
think
man, you always gotta
There's
stay
a
on
difference
point.
between vulnerability and stupidity,
I think
right?
as
And I
black
feel like
people,
as a man, you always have to keep a level. You always got to keep a level as a man,
which
because You're always on call. You're always at service because a man's life is a life of service, bro.
Let me say this though. I feel like as black
We
people, we
have
all
duties.
have to have this ability of being strong, male and female alike, right? We're called to live this double consciousness in the world that allows for us to present that we always got to have it locked and key, right? We always have to be hyper vigilant, super
Exactly.
aware. We can't let people see us express emotion. And I feel like that's equally felt, both male and female. When I heard you say that a man's life is in service, I constantly felt like that was my awareness as a woman, that my life was always going to be in servitude of others, to take care and support others. But the thing about it that takes us out as people, and we're here to talk about men's health, is when a black man doesn't rest, when a black man doesn't have access to joy, freedom, happiness, relaxation, and peace, he has heart attacks, he has strokes,
Facts.
he dies
That's
young.
right.
Facts.
When a black man tells himself that he
Facts.
has to be strong all the time, the same way when a black woman tells herself she has to be strong all the
Yo,
time, it has a significant impact on our health and our functioning and our overall well-being. We got if we don't sit ourselves down, something out in this world will sit us down, but we can't be there in service to our loved ones, to our
Because
partners, to our
Well,
children, to
now
our
because
you know
even
why
family.
women live longer than men.
true,
That's
but
why.
even like But even in the sense of, like I said, I get it. Like you said, men are always at service, but it's never a time, just a quick short period where you let that guard down. And like, for example, I'll say, like, I know people were like, when something happens, they may take a shower. In the shower, they cry their soul out in the shower because that's the one time when nobody sees you, nobody's around, and you give it all you got in the shower and you crying till it stops. You
mm,
turn the shower off and you get back to your day.
Right. I mean, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I live by myself, so I definitely get those alone times, and that's usually spent reflect. That's usually spent reflecting. Like I
Okay.
said before, I always reflect on what happened during the day. You know what I mean? What I did, how I reacted, things like that. You know. So yeah, I mean that's like my man said, meditation. Like to me, that moment before I finally go to bed and get that REM sleep, I think that's my meditation. That's my time for reflection. You know,
and like the reason why I started meditating because yo, it's so much shit in your mind, bro. Like you feel
bro,
me? Shit that you think
I
about
can't
on the
shut my mind
daily
off, bro.
that
Yep,
like
All the
you
time.
overthinking.
can't
Yeah,
overthinking job, career, where I'm gonna be at the next 5 years, where I'm gonna get this money
come
to
on,
do
man,
this, where I'm gonna get this money to do that.
all that.
So, you know what I mean? That stresses you out too. That puts you in a bad mood. That plus work, that plus your partner asks you, when you gonna go on date night? When you going,
Right, real shit.
like, you know what I mean? So, it's a lot that men have to provide and men have to go through, and you do have to take time for yourself, bro. So,
Nah, nah.
I suggest every man to just take a day. If you gotta cancel plans with somebody, yo, listen,
Oh,
I gotta cancel, I gotta
trust me,
reschedule,
I
just to
I
take that
definitely do that.
day for yourself and do whatever you wanna do. It could be going to the gym, you could be going on a walk or Central Park, you could be, if you wanna go to Starbucks and get you a coffee that you've been craving for the longest for like a whole week, go do that. Like
Yeah, no,
like
real,
last
I
no, that's
felt
real though.
that.
Yo, you got to.
yeah, like a
You
couple
doing
I
weeks
this
felt
shit,
ago,
do
that.
I
something to take
went.
it's
care of you.
it's something that you said though. I do want to like just make sure that we touch base on it because you mentioned like the comfort around drinking and smoking. Like I said, I dabble, you know what I'm saying? But I also tell people like I know that I can't make this my only go-to for relaxation because I see so many
Fact.
young people I know learning from us older folks where they make it a vice. And I tell people, I was like, look, I'm gonna tell you, when you say that you can't eat until you smoke, when you say that you can't sleep until you smoke, when you say that you can't relax
Yeah,
until you smoke
You can't
or drink,
function.
you're telling me
yeah.
something
A lot
about
of people
yourself,
do that.
right? You're telling me that
Exactly.
there's
Yeah,
a vice. And
real
there's so
shit.
many people in our community, and especially I hear a lot of black men, they be like, man, yo, I can't go into this job until I hit a blunt. I can't go outside until I can't be around
Yes.
other people
Mm-hmm.
till I do
I
this.
mean,
I be like,
yo,
damn, you can't move
honestly
until you
though,
smoke. Like,
listen,
That's
I just want
right.
to say it depends on your job environment. Sometimes the job might be stressful. You might have to hit that to stay calm. Sometimes people at your job might get you mad, and the the
Tell you what.
weed balance it out. You know what I mean?
So look,
Because
but
So
sometimes
I think she hit the nail on the head with that, man. And like I said, bro, I've been smoking weed since I was 12, bro. Like I'm a I don't consider myself a weed head anymore because of the control I have over it. I don't let it control me. And what she's talking about
thanks.
is that a lot of people that indulge really let it control them. But like me in my life, I was in management at a young age, right? And I used to do that. Wake up, roll 7 J's, hit them all day long. And then I realized that, I can't be walking around like that all day because, like I said, as a man, you have duty, you have service, you have things that you have to do. You feel me? So I stopped smoking weed during the day. I gained discipline over it. You feel me? Now, another thing I wanted to bring about I know a lot of people may not like smoking, drinking, different things like that, but there's social aspects to drugs, right? And we're talking about mental health, right? You know how many
Mm-hmm.
people become friends off a blunt or a beer? You
That's
understand?
true.
Like, yo,
True.
I'm around my job I got right now. I'm with a bunch of rich cats that got boats, uh, mansions, all that type shit. And you know why they fuck with me? Cause I'm the type of dude that's gonna have a beer with them after work. Simple as that. I'm
it's
from a
crazy
total
That's
because
true.
different background than they is,
But
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 it's
I'll
true.
fucking crack a Budweiser with their
I
ass.
do.
You said something that
I
I had
do.
to learn though, because like I want to say like grew up the same exact way. I started smoking when I was a very young person out in this world, but I started to connect the difference between that. Right? I was like, oh, I could do this recreationally. I could do this socially. Some people are not using it in this in
Right.
the same capacity. Like I said, I could have it as a
That's
Yeah,
right.
like you
point of
said, they're using it as a
conversation
vice. Yeah.
opposed to a vice, and that's
Yes,
the main
but I
thing that
do.
I get concerned about.
Right.
I do want to say this to y'all as Black Kings. We do appreciate y'all, and I feel like we are going to have to hit them with a part two. I feel like we're going to have
facts.
to because the way y'all were going in, I appreciate it so much. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We respect y'all as Black Kings. It's Mental
Thank
Awareness
you.
Month. We
We respect
appreciate
that
y'all
too.
so much. Thank you so much. Miss Wellenboke, are you ready to send them out?
Yes, I'm about to send the folks out. So definitely, yo, level up core, Al Parker. It's been a blessing sitting with you guys and just really having this
Thank
Yes.
you for
heavy-weighted
having me on the
conversation,
show.
right?
Who
Yeah.
woke the
We
savage?
appreciate y'all both.
We
Hey, this was
appreciate you
therapy.
both. And if for those who don't know,
Go
November
follow who
is
like
Yep. For the month of
mental
November
health,
is
men's
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 health.
Health
mental health. Let's get it.
Awareness.
Get
And
it.
for those of you who don't know, in
Men's
June,
health
it's a special
awareness. Yeah.
focus in the month of June. Is Men's Health Awareness in June, y'all. So November and June for the brothers who need to go out, get that prostate check, get that heart check. Go ahead, talk to somebody,
Yeah,
do
everything.
everything to get your body functioning, get good sleep, eat right, change your life, all of that good stuff. We want to really focus on men taking good care of themselves because we need y'all. There's nothing that we can't do in this
We
world
do.
Definitely.
where men and women, we need each other. And that's a big part of the conversation.
We need each
We need
other.
each other to keep going,
Real
right?
shit.
So
And
I'm gonna tell y'all right
don't
now,
let nobody say we don't.
all the folks like follow this. If you didn't catch this episode on Riverside, follow us on YouTube, Miss Well and Woke, Lady.A.Savage, holla at us on Instagram, slide through on the TikToks, Level Up Core, my brother, Al Parker, my new brother. I want y'all all to have a good night and have a great, 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 great evening, y'all, and much success to you fellas, okay?
Yes. We
Go
appreciate y'all so
follow
much.
who
Thank you
woke the
again.
savage. Go follow who woke the savage. Good podcast, good upcoming podcast, and I look forward to being on the next episode.
Thank y'all
Facts. We're
so
gonna
much.
hold
We
you fellas
appreciate
to
y'all.
it.
Al Parker, Level Up Core. We appreciate
See
y'all. And
y'all.
like we said before, any savage question y'all want to hear, please DM me and let me know. Thank y'all so much again.
All right, we love
No
y'all for
doubt.
free.
Peace.
Deuces.